Hi, I'm Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com. It is Thursday, May 29th, 2014, and today an episode of the STOSSEL show on Fox airs entitled Food Fight. And I am part of a segment called Don't Eat Anything with a Face, taking the affirmative position and discussing why I live a vegan lifestyle. And I prepared so many points to talk about on the show, and I only had a few minutes to mention just a sliver of what I put together. So in this video, I'm going to share with you all the details that I left out to give you a really well-rounded perspective once you've watched it. I want to let you know a few things. First of all, this isn't entirely original content. Many of the points that I'm using in this video are built on notes taken from numerous books on veganism, which are all going to be linked in the description field here on YouTube, right down below, so I invite you to check them out to learn more and to hear straight from the source. I also want to let you know and remind you that I am not a medical professional or a scientist. The following points are all based on my personal experience, my opinion, and all this research that I've done. I invite you to watch this video with an open mind about what I have to say, and no matter what your standpoint is, just please be respectful and just look at it as another standpoint, even if you disagree. So let's jump in. The way I see it, vegans live very similar to everyone else, honestly, just without eating food made from animals, clothing made from animal skin, products made from animals or involving animal testing. The biggest shift for me when I adopted a vegan lifestyle was I felt like I woke up. It's kind of like the Matrix. I suddenly felt more conscious about every aspect of my life. And that's why veganism is not just a dietary choice. It's ethical, it's environmental, it's political. Each of us has a personal and global responsibility to be informed because each of us can make a difference at every single meal. A fundamental shift can only come through the efforts of informed, educated, and politically active people. So educating ourselves in any aspect of our lives is the most empowering thing we can do. To be vegan is to disagree with the current state of things and make a statement. It is a choice, a decision, and an attitude adjustment. But these changes aren't going to last if we make them just because trends, willy-nilly, like, oh, I guess I'll just do it, desire for a quick fix, whatever those reasons might be. This is why education is so important. We have to believe it in our core, and we have to have something to back it up, whether it's just simply wanting to do it for the animals or research that's done on the environmental impact, findings on health, all of that. Speaking of health, from a health standpoint, I consider food to be my healthcare. I have these shirts. Food is my healthcare. And I have a little food stain on them right now. I focus on food quality, which means whole, minimally processed, nutrient-rich, plant-based foods. I believe in eating to live, not living to eat. Many people in the world, and this was me 11 years ago, live by the death of others, frankly. They take lives simply for the sake of their appetite. And again, I've been there. I know what that's like. Many people have blinders on. That was me, which can often be the result of other people in their lives eating animals. You know, when you're raised by your parents who eat animals, you eat animals too. When your friends around you eat animals, you eat animals too. If everyone around you is eating animals, you're probably going to think it's normal, and vegetarianism and veganism is going to seem very abnormal. It is for that reason that veganism takes a very open mind, self-confidence, and mutual respect for yourself, the animals, and the planet. However, I don't believe that there's absolutely, positively, without a doubt, one-size-fits-all diet for everyone. However, pretty much everyone can agree that plants are healthy. We've been taught that our entire lives. Maybe we haven't been taught to eat just plants, but we've always been taught that eating plants are healthy. Just the case is that not everyone agrees that meat and dairy is unhealthy, which is obviously the standpoint that I have. In the past 11 years of my life, I haven't found any reason to eat animal products again. The vegan lifestyle seems to be benefiting my body, and it's definitely benefiting the plants and the animals. No medical professional, no doctor has ever told me that I need to eat animals to survive. And that's a big reason why I live by the precautionary principle. When it comes to my health, I'm not willing to take the risks of eating animals, and why should I? Meat has been linked to coronary artery disease, cancer, obesity, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, heartburn, constipation, on and on and on. And there's no way around the fact that meat contains lots of fat, has zero fiber, and is low in antioxidants. I'm personally willing to take the very low risk that goes along with the plant-based diet because the pros majorly outweigh any proposed cons. For example, there's a lot of evidence that eating a plant-based diet can cut your risk of cancer and Alzheimer's, improve or even cure diabetes, and result in less instances of obesity. It's basically like the reverse of all of those things that we think are linked to meat. Research has also found that vegans who take B12 supplements, which is the one thing we can't get from the plant-based diet, these vegans are no more likely to be deficient than meat eaters, and they are probably less likely because they are being responsible by taking a supplement. Most doctors, in fact, recommend taking a supplement no matter what your diet is. Everyone needs to make sure they get enough vitamin D from the adequate sun exposure, taking a supplement, or eating fortified foods. And plant-based foods are rich in so many nutrients. So let's take omega-3 for example. We think we need it from fish, when in reality we can get it from chia and flax seeds and walnuts. Iron, we connect that with meat a lot, but we can get that from spinach, lentils, greens, quinoa, sesame seeds, cashews, on and on. These are all just small examples, right? Vitamin A can come from carrot, squash, sweet potato, pumpkin, spinach. Vitamin K often comes from leafy green vegetables like broccoli, kale, spinach. Zinc comes from nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans, and tempeh. And don't even get me started on the protein thing, because the reality is there's protein in pretty much every single plant. So you're totally fine when it comes to that. No doctor's ever been like, Whitney, you need more protein. They say take a B12 supplement and that's pretty much it. But the reality is that science is very complex and research is usually subjective. So nobody knows for sure what the single best diet is, otherwise we'd all be eating the same foods. There's also no guarantee how long any of us will live. But my feeling is, why not live well without causing intentional harm and unnecessary suffering to animals in our bodies? Here's one big thing that I've learned about food. It's often a matter of want versus need. We like foods because we eat them. We don't eat foods because we like them, contrary to common belief, right? Our palates and our bodies adjust to whatever we consume on a regular basis. So eating animals is really just a choice. Aside from the familiar taste and texture and convenience, I just don't see a reason to eat animals when there are so many delicious plant-based options. And this is like the main thing that I had time to slip into the STOSSEL segment. Another thing is that animal nutrition is basically recycled plant-based nutrition. Animals are eating plants from the ground to absorb the nutrients, and then we eat animals to take the nutrients from them. It's kind of weird. Why don't we just cut out the middleman, the animals there, and just go directly to the source, the plants there? That seems pretty logical, but rarely anyone talks about it. And we also can't justify our behavior on being omnivores or based on other species like lions, because it's completely different. Animals, they don't have a choice. They eat what is available. They eat what their body craves. They're so much more connected to their bodies by instinct than we are as humans, right? Things have become so complicated, which we'll talk about later on. And I think it's also important to note that humans like the taste of meat when it has been drained of blood, cooked, and seasoned. It's very rare that we eat rare meat or raw meat because it's pretty unappetizing and we have concerns about the health risks. I don't think I ever ate rare meat when I did eat meat. It just seemed too dangerous and gross. I mean, I feel like people do it to like come across like bold or macho or whatever, but really it's like, you don't just look at an animal and want to eat it. You don't just look at a piece of raw meat and start salivating. If you do, you're salivating because you're thinking about what it's going to be like when it's cooked and when it's seasoned. But if you saw a dead cow on the side of the road, you know, I've heard people say this many times, like, you're not going to pull over your car and be like, oh my God, I've got to eat that. You know, we're at the very best, we'll slice it up and take it home and prepare it. We don't just eat it right there like animals do. So that's something I think we really need to note here. Now, veganism, fortunately, for those of us who are excited about the vegan lifestyle, veganism is on the rise. Since 2004, meat eating has dropped to 9%, or by 9%. word is getting out, thanks to documentaries like Forks Over Knives, which really take a health standpoint, role models on TV, social media. There's so much more acceptance and less fear. However, there are still many misconceptions about the vegan lifestyle, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this video right now. And I really believe it's because people criticize or make fun of things that they don't understand. Some people, for example, view veganism as a lofty commitment. But the reality is that we're all committed to doing something already. It takes just as much commitment not to do something as it does to do something. If you're committed to eating meat and not committed to eating vegan, swapping it is the same level of commitment there, right? It just seems different because you're not used to it. And just like many aspects of our lives, being vegan is an evolving process. It's about doing the best that we can. It's a matter of making progress, not reaching a state of perfection, as some people might view it, like judgmental and holy and like you guys think you're the greatest people. I don't think that's true. I mean, any vegan I've met is still going through their thing, still understanding their bodies and the environment and how their decisions affect the world. So most people don't really see what's going on in the world. They don't see animals being killed, they don't see rainforests being cut down, they don't see people starving in other countries as a result of their actions. And this is why Paul McCartney said that if slaughterhouses had glass walls, all of us would be vegetarian. A huge reason there is also that we feel something when we look into someone's face, just like we do when we look at our companion animals, our dogs and our cats. I mean, my dog's inside, and gosh, when I look at her, I have this emotional reaction. I cannot possibly imagine killing her and eating her. If I did, and this is something I actually had a chance to kind of mention on the STOSSEL, it's like one of my friends who wrote the book How to Be Vegan, Elizabeth Castoria, who I interviewed recently, explained it as animals being in a costume. So you take a hot dog, for example, you're not seeing the face. In fact, somebody brought this up on Twitter today. They said, my steak doesn't have a face. Not anymore, it doesn't. It's in a costume. You look at it as a piece of food. You're not looking at it as the cow it once was. So we might not be able to kill our animals, the companion animals in our lives, like take our dog, for example, but if somebody were to serve us a hot dog and later tell us that it was our dog, we wouldn't have known just from looking at the hot dog, right? I mean, it's just so different, and the fact that we're not killing the animals ourselves in most cases creates a huge divide there. So this is why veganism is about extending compassion to others. We're following the golden rule by being vegan. It's doing unto others as we would have done unto them. And this is not just about animals, this is about the planet. This is about also extending compassion to people in our bodies. We shouldn't pick and choose who to be kind to. And that's something that a lot of people do. Oh, I love animals. You love companion animals, but do you love the cows that you're eating? Do you love the pigs that you're eating? No. Our modern society has turned animals into commodities and inanimate objects. Harming animals and killing them for food, clothing, various products is cruel, greedy, and gluttonous, frankly. It really is. Those who make these decisions here have to make up stories to make themselves feel better about their choices. People will go to great lengths to justify their behaviors, no matter the harm it may cause to other species or the planet. So there's really no such thing as humane meat, eggs, or dairy. Cage-free, grass-fed animals it's still a cruel business because they're still raised to be consumed and exploited for our pleasure. That is the reality. There's no way around that, right? And if you believe in karma, the practice of using animals this way negatively affects us on an emotional and spiritual level. Think about it. If we're ingesting animal products, using them, who have gone through this major stress and discomfort their entire lives, we're letting that energy into our bodies. And we're also producing bad karma by doing so. So who knows what effect that might have on us. So the last point here is that in the STOSSEL show, I was put up against in a debate, or was supposedly trying to be a debate, with a guy that writes about Paleo Lifestyle. His name is Rob Wolf. And here are some things that I took down before I went into the STOSSEL show, and then I want to talk to you about what happened while I was there. So, based on a lot of research, the reality is that virtually no one today practices anything close to the Stone Age lifestyle. For example, our Stone Age ancestors exerted so much more energy because they were trying to survive than we do in modern times. We're not trying to survive, right? I mean, look at this. It's a pretty posh life. They weren't likely eating meat 3 times a day either. I mean, you know, how do we get meat right now? We don't kill it, as I've mentioned. Most of us go to the store and buy meat. We go to a farmer's market to buy meat, wherever. Some of us might slaughter it ourselves, but that's pretty rare. And our ancestors didn't have the luxury of having farms and barns and all that stuff, right? I mean, maybe eventually they did, but not way back then when we're thinking about this paleo lifestyle. And it's actually believed that they did quite a lot of gathering along with their hunting. In fact, research has found that the Stone Age ancestors consumed as much as 100 grams of fiber daily from a variety of plant foods eaten in large enough quantities to fuel that high energy demand that they had. And it is also widely accepted academically that cavemen were free from disease due to their societal structure and not the macronutrient characteristics of their diet. Interesting there, right? So a few other points, not just around Stone Age, but the natural diet of chimpanzees, our ancestors as well, is purely vegetarian. Incan warriors, so these strong people back in the day, they actually used quinoa, a grain-like seed, for strength. Roman gladiators, I love this fact, ate an essentially vegan diet. So these people were thought to be the most amazing fighters, and they were eating a vegan diet. I mean, don't tell me that you don't get enough protein from the diet, right? And another thing is that meat was mostly eaten, and for many years, by the wealthy and privileged only. So kings and queens, the rich, whoever they were. And they had health problems as a result, whereas the mainly vegetarian common folk did not have these problems. So interesting thing to look at there about where the health was and where the research is being done and who was eating what. You know, it comes down to the fact also that modern meat is not Stone Age meat. And a population now of 7 billion plus people cannot eat as much meat as a population in the millions or below did. It's completely different. We just can't, they're not the same. We're not in the same situation by any means. And so really, I feel like the notion that our ancestors ate a lot of meat has basically encouraged people to use the paleo diet as justification for carnivorous preferences. However, there are definitely some ways in which the paleo and vegan lifestyles overlap each other. So number one, they both agree about the importance of getting rid of factory farms. Paleo eaters advocate for eating meat that is locally grown, grass-fed. We've talked about that already, but at least it's not coming from a factory farm. That's a huge bonus for your health, apparently. And I found actually that most of the foods that I personally eat on my vegan diet are technically paleo. So I eat fruits, vegetables, sprouted nuts and seeds. This would include almonds, avocado, broccoli, hemp seeds, pistachios, potatoes, spirulina, walnuts, spinach. All of these things are high-density, nutrient-rich foods that the paleo diet promotes. And I have grain alternatives like coconut and almonds again, peanuts, hemp seeds, chickpeas. And I don't digest grains and legumes very well, but if they're sprouted and fermented or soaked, I will have them from time to time because they have some protein, fiber, iron, calcium, potassium, and magnesium. And this would kind of be the case where the paleo diet allows people to cheat, right? So what do I propose here? What if we redefined the paleo diet to be about natural, whole, unprocessed foods that aren't coming from animals? In fact, there's a book out that I'm going to do some separate reviews on ecovegangal.com about called Paleo Vegan, exploring this very topic. And I hope to have the author on, and perhaps on with Rob. I think it'd be really neat to talk about this whole concept of why paleo is considered to be more healthy, and can we draw it away from meat and bring it more towards the plant-based diet. I think that would be a great way to meet in the middle there, right? So it is for all of these reasons that I've mentioned that I advocate for reducing or hopefully eliminating animal products from our lives. I think everyone can at least benefit from being flexitarian, doing meatless Mondays, just reducing the amount of meat, at least trying it out, experimenting with it, and maybe you you'll consider at some point eliminating them altogether. Really, what it comes down to is I think you'll feel better, you'll look better, you'll make the planet healthier, more sustainable, and this affects us on so many levels. Like I said, it's an energetic thing as well. Whether you believe it or not, energy is in the air, and when we make these positive, compassionate decisions, it has such a great effect, and I have witnessed that firsthand. I am a whole different person, physically, emotionally, mentally, like you name it, like whatever's going on in my life, it has shifted dramatically through adopting, here I am messing up all my words, adopting a amazing plant-based lifestyle and all of the amazing things I've learned from a result of it. So thank you so much for watching today. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this, on the STOSSEL show. If you haven't seen the STOSSEL show yet, as soon as the episode is available online, I will link to it down below in the YouTube description. YouTube description also has a link to ecovegangal.com where you can learn all about this lifestyle that I advocate for. You can find me on social media using those links as well, and I love having a conversation there. And I look forward to your feedback. And this, it feels really good to talk about this. I'm honored that I was brought on the STOSSEL show. I wish I could have said all of this, but I've been talking for 20 minutes now and didn't have enough time on that show. All right, well, don't forget, let food be your healthcare. Speaking of which, if you want one of these shirts, they are available on ecovegangal.com as well. And don't forget to check out those books I've linked to. If you like this video, I think I'm gonna I think I'm going to turn off the thumbs up, thumbs down, because I don't like the bad energy of the thumbs down. So best thing that you could do here is to reach out on social media, and if the comment section is open when you want to comment, leave a comment there. If you like this video, you want to see more like it, please click the subscribe button so you're the first to know when I have more like this, and I will see you then. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and this is all to your health. Eat to live, don't live to eat.